Joining me now is the Democratic Senator for California, Alex Padilla. Senator Padilla is a ranking member of the Senate Rules and Administration Committee. He also serves on the Judiciary and Budget Committees, and he's one of our best friends of the show for a guy who has to get up early to be on it. Senator, good to talk to you. Yesterday, I spoke to Representative LaMonica McIver. You and she are two legislators who have seen the hand of lawlessness of this administration very personally. In addition to being from California, you've also seen it yourself, where you were tackled, for asking a question, for doing what legislators are supposed to do, for holding the executive branch to account. So I'm suspecting that none of this week, you pick your topic, whether it's Chicago or the blowing up of a boat or the renaming of the Department of Defense, I take it none of this surprises you at the moment.
Yeah, no, not really, Ali. Sadly, right? We've known it was coming for a long time. Just hearing the rhetoric from Trump during the campaign trail, back in January during the inauguration, and when I returned from Los Angeles after that now infamous Homeland Security press conference, that was one of my biggest messages to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Right? Los Angeles was the test case, and the Trump administration, the way they went about trying to militarize and terrorize the city of Los Angeles laid the groundwork for trying to do it in any city on any issue across America. And like you said, we've seen National Guard troops twiddling their thumbs a lot around Washington, D.C. We're seeing the threats to Chicago, Baltimore, other cities across the country. And like, he's not shy, attacking blue cities, attacking blue states.
Yeah, in fact, Ben Rhodes just brought up a point because Donald Trump is now getting involved in the mayoral elections in this city. Doesn't like Zohran Mamdani, and Zohran Mamdani loses. I wonder how long before we see National Guard troops here. J.B. Pritzker's been interesting. He's been sort of saying, and so have a lot of Illinois politicians have been sort of saying, don't get baited into the conflict that Donald Trump seems to want to happen, right? He's sending these National Guard troops in, and what they seem to be looking for is itching for a fight with protesters that will then be a pretext to do even more.
Again, and I think there's a lot of value in looking at Los Angeles as sort of the test case or the case study. When Donald Trump federalized National Guard troops and deployed them into Los Angeles, it was because the people of Los Angeles were standing up to the lawlessness, the indiscriminate raids under the guise of immigration enforcement. It did not make Trump happy, especially after the No King's Day protests. And so what does he do? He escalates. He then deployed Marines into the city of Los Angeles. So it's not about public safety. Donald Trump wants the spectacle. And why? Let's remember the big picture here. Whether it's the Epstein files or a deteriorating economy, Donald Trump wants to change the subject away from his failed record and the Republican failed agenda that's hurting the American people. And so he resorts to these tactics to try to change the news cycle, try to change the narrative. Meanwhile, not only did the people of Los Angeles stand up to resist, but the voters of California now have a chance to push back and punch back against this redistricting scheme that he has to try to hold on to power next November by voting for Prop 50 this November.
Which is, there are not that many outlets for the voter right now, right? We're seeing amazing protests in the streets of America. We saw them again yesterday in D.C. There are protests at town halls. Americans are answering the call, but there aren't that many opportunities to cast a ballot. We saw it in Iowa. We're seeing that where you give Americans the opportunity to chime in on how they think about what this administration is doing, they do. So Prop 50 is going to be a very, very big moment for Californians and Americans to register their disdain for this reckless ignoring of the law.
Exactly. And so we're pushing back in so many ways. We can, resist legislatively in Congress. We can litigate, and we are in the courts. But when it comes to what can the people do, at least the people of California, have that opportunity to send the message to the country as we're gearing up for the midterm elections, right? If you care about the damage that this tariff war is having on your grocery bills and your housing bills, then we're going to turn out and vote for Proposition 50. If you care about the lawlessness in which they're trying to enforce immigration laws in America, then we're going to vote for Proposition 50. And if you believe with us that the rule of law and the Constitution still matter, then that's what's on the ballot. That's what's at stake this November, and we're going to vote for Proposition 50.
You talk about this changing the news cycle. It's wild, right? We blow up this boat. On Friday, the jobs numbers are weak. So then Donald Trump tweeted about Epstein. It's like we needed to get your attention away from the jobs numbers by tweeting about Epstein. But earlier in the week, he talked about how the Epstein stuff is a hoax after people were actually out there saying, come and look in my eyes. I'm a survivor of this. This is not a hoax. On top of all of this, in 23 days, we could start to be discussing a government shutdown. There are a lot of Democrats out there who are saying to Democratic leadership in the House and the Senate, let the government shut down if it has to. That's Republicans' problem. It's not for Democrats to save Republicans here.
Yeah, look, it's know full well we're only weeks away from the end of the fiscal year. But let me be clear. If there's a government shutdown, it's because Republicans have shut down the government. They're the ones in charge, right? It's a Republican in the White House, Republican majorities in both the House and the Senate. There is a way forward to avoid a government shutdown because, look, I know who gets hurt the most through a government shutdown, but all the indicators are that this is what Trump wants, and this is what Republicans want because they keep giving Trump everything that he wants. We're willing to negotiate in good faith a budget for the federal government for the next fiscal year and avoid a government shutdown, but it's really hard to do so when there's no trust, when there's no goodwill. Why would we say yes to a deal knowing full well that they'll be back in a matter of weeks and undo key elements of that proposal that Democrats care about? We saw it earlier in the year in the continuing resolution fight. We've seen it through the budget reconciliation process, the budget rescission process. We're not even at September 30th yet, and Trump is already demanding more pocket rescissions, which are legally dubious to begin with.
Would you, if you can't extract the conditions you need, support not helping Republicans to keep the government open?
Yeah, look, it's going to take a lot of convincing to get me to vote for something that is not going to be vulnerable to, unilateral partisan cuts and rescissions in a matter of weeks. As soon as Trump tells, Republicans to jump, they're going to say how high.
Yeah. It's weird watching all this unfold. Senator, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us. Senator Alex Padilla
Thank you, Ali.
of California.